This is my book that I got published, thanks to C. Stephen Blue, turned me onto this. Just to let you know, due to corporate difficulties, they cannot be sold here in the store, but I'm going to be selling them out of the back of my green Subaru station wagon out there after the show, so feel free to drop by. You get the parking lot discount. Well, not quite sure where to start, but today is Mother's Day, and to all of those who are mothers or who have had mothers, happy Mother's Day to you. I'm going to start off with my mom. Oh God, this must be 35, 40 years ago. I was on the radio and she'd written a poem and I had her record it and I played it back at 3 in the morning because I was doing midnight to 6. So I thought that I would start with a poem from my mother. It's called I Drank a Bug. I drank a bug. It was mixed up in the ice. It was just a little bug, but it wasn't all that nice. It was either drink the bug or throw away the drink. And if your thoughts are like my thoughts, then you think like I think. So if this happens to you, and he's floating in your mug, be a man and swallow him. It's harder on the bug. And we'll move on to salon girls. This is one of my favorites. Salon girls. I smell money and burning hair. The wrinkled old ones with slim figures and excellent makeup and a Mercedes in the parking lot. The house is paid for, the investments are doing well, but this damn gravity is pulling at her cellular structure. There are white streaks in her hair like headlights on a slow-mo freeway in one of George's films. And the chemical call of the salon promises the almost sexual satisfaction of excellent hair. Women live their lives through their hair, an aura of strands, a swirling dream of lights and highlights, just like the summer when it was all perfect and you could spray it into place forever. And yeah, I worked as a teleprompter, and I wish that I had actually done what this poem says, but I sort of fantasized teleprompting the Dalai Lama. He reads very well and is not afraid of the camera. His scripts are real interesting. I wonder who writes his stuff. He ad-libs a lot, but always comes back to the copy so we can start again, letting the words roll by. We were on the set for 16 hours, and the time seemed like nothing. The smiling man departed, we wrapped our cables, and slipped into the night, gentle night, like a dark flower unfolding. Thank you. And along those lines, I suppose you've all heard this one, but I'll do it yet again. Tai Chi in snowshoes. Tai Chi in snowshoes comes on when my flaming arrows do not fire, when too many ball bearings escape from my skateboard, when my fragile flower storms delicately through the thoughtless concrete to find itself in a pile of dog droppings. In these bleak moments, underscored with the thin gray laughter of the cosmically humorous, I feel a need to collapse, and simultaneously feel that all movement has intonations of order. So this flamed-out, wobbly flower becomes Tai Chi in snowshoes, and I move into the ordered movements as if for the first time. Tai Chi in snowshoes. There is no snow. There are no snowshoes. There's not even any winter. There's only Tai Chi. And then we'll do the flip side. This is called Life's Lies. Life's Lies. Hello and welcome. I only want the best for you. I understand. You don't understand. Trust me. This won't hurt a bit. I'm only telling you this once. Your vote counts. Violence never solved anything. I did not do it. None of us did. The lights in the sky are stars. Jesus loves you, and so do I. Really? There's something a bit more Socratic. This is, you know, I love Socrates as he always asks questions. This is called, what of it? Why the heck do we ask why? And what of it? Aren't questions just a way of gaming the old man? A type of hubris? And why so damn many questions? Is that all there is? Little brain monkeys screaming in monkey delight at all the wonderful words? Exactly what is it that makes us ask why? And how are why and what conjoined? Since, being words, they are random vibrations to which we attach meaning. Do the questions stop? Do the monkeys sleep? And what about who? Now we move on to my favorite form, limericks. Yeah. Let me tell you, the thing is, I was thinking about this on the way in. The vast majority of limericks lies somewhere on the spectrum between vaguely off color and truly filthy. But one of my joys about limericks is taking a strange, polysyllabic word and finding rhymes for it. I was driving down the road. By the way, just so you know, before I get into this, the word philately means stamp collecting. And I was running that philately. And I actually pulled over to the side of the road, rummaged around, found a piece of paper and wrote down, there was a young gal named of Natalie who was known to be fond of philately. A scurrilous scamp wooed her with a stamp. Her reply was, please don't try to flatter me. And then there's this wonderful, we have a marvelous poet here, our friend Autumn, who is into astrobiology. And there's another word, oh, astrobiology. A gal into astrobiology said it beats a career in oncology. I'll map out the features of alien creatures and never give out an apology. Thank you, Autumn. But the real joy in my life came from the word ekdesiast. Ekdesiast from the Greek ekdesis, which means to shed an outer integument or skin. An ekdesiast is a stripper. So, a friend of mine's daughter was a stripper, and I just got off on ekdesiast limericks. I have 7 of them here, plus 2 bonus ones. I'll read 3 of them and see how you like them, my 3 favorites. There once was a happy ekdesiast whose job made her mom feel the queasiest. But Mom, she'd explain, it causes no pain, and the tips that I get are the easiest. With a head cold, the sick young ekdesiast soon found that her act was the sneeziest. She made her achiews wearing only her shoes, but her tips from that night were the measliest. An ekdesiast sporting a cast could not shed her clothes all that fast. She'd rip and she'd tear and try to get bare and leave the poor patrons aghast. And I was at Cush, page 2 poetry at Cush. Our friend Amy is not here today, unfortunately, because she heckled me from the audience, which I just love that stuff. So I read the following limerick. I said, a grandiloquent rhetorician discoursed on the slang use of bitchin'. I may be pedantic, but the word drives me frantic and sets my red pencil to itchin'. If you remember, bitchin' was used in the 60s as like, that's really cool, that's boss, that's groovy. So at that point, Amy, being the Amy that she is, said to me, why don't you write a poem, a limerick about an ekdesiast rhetorician? So I walked back to the table, sat down, and wrote, an ekdesiast rhetorician would take off her clothes and go fishing. The men that she knew would come along too and thought that her outfit was bitchin'. Okay. We'll do a couple. Well, I wrote this back in Santa Cruz, and it just stayed with me. It's called Thank You Smile number 27. I smile at you. We are in the strange light of a dance floor. You sweep my eyes with your gaze. Your eyes are sunlight on the Alps, golden, shining, distant, cold. So what do you want? The eyes of men call to you, animal eyes. I, too, feel that jungle within me howl at the moon or at you, but that is not what you want. Loud tables, coffee cups, beer, whiskey, other smiling seekers obscure my view. I want to see another side. Perhaps you read poetry. Perhaps you have a keen eye for beauty. See pictures in the landscape. Perhaps you want to share. If I ask you to dance, can you tell me somehow of yourself? Or will you gaze above my head into the cacophony and freedom, and at the end, give me your thank you smile number 27 and move back to your table? And then at another coffee shop, ah, sweet singer. This is called Sweet Singer. Ah, sweet singer, you have a face made for dreaming. Your eyes see far beyond these walls. Your smile is the shoreline of lands unknown. Your songs are the color of cappuccino. Together we drift dreaming in a warm brown cup of bittersweet darkness. So now we'll move on to two famous people. I was speaking with my friend Connie here about her favorite poet, Pablo Neruda.
Right on.
Oh, Pablo, great poet, Chilean poet, international. He was a political firebrand, and it was in international politics, etc., etc. They exhumed his bones back in 2012 because there was a theory that he had been poisoned. So they exhumed his bones to do tests on them. I think it turned out that he wasn't. But a poetry site that I was on, a fellow on there said, "Oh, we need to write poems about Pablo Neruda." And there were these beautiful, lyrical, reverent, marvelous poems about Pablo Neruda. Mine, although I tried to be good to him, it wasn't quite as reverent. It's called I Dig Neruda's Bones. I fear that my poems will always be cruder than that dead famous poet named Pablo Neruda. His verses were plentiful and surrealistic, and his imagery haunting and somnambulistic. An ambassador once to the United Nations, he must surely have sampled 100 libations, and eaten of figs, and sang with the moon, and danced with the ladies from midnight to noon. Well, the poet is dead now, and not soon forgotten, but his poetry lives, though his body is rotten, and the earth drinks the soul of that Chilean Buddha, that dead famous poet named Pablo Neruda.
Yeah.
Now, for this next one, I'm going to ask my friend Charles Castle to come forward. Would you be so kind?
You're going to saw me in half?
Oh, worse than that. There's a wonderful filmmaker named Wim Wenders, and he was just beloved by Francis Ford Coppola. Francis Ford Coppola bought an office building in San Francisco and had a restaurant named Zim's. He replaced the Z with a W to make it into Wim's. So Wim Wenders is a very famous German filmmaker, and girlfriend and I got to working on the alliterative nature of Wim Wenders. I'm going to ask my friend Charles to read this to you. Into the mic.
This one? Linguistic aerobics. Thank you. I needed that. Linguistic aerobics for hesitant speakers. One wonders what whims. You couldn't make me do this?
Would you like me to do it with you? No.
No, let me try.
Yeah.
Oh, man. One wonders what whims, Wimber.
One wonders what whims Wim Wenders remembers as he mumbles and stumbles and wanders in Flanders. And what were the windfalls Whims wish to plunder? As he fumbles and grumbles and ponders the thunder. So which wacky woman would we wish on Wim Wenders as he grapples and stumbles and snaps his suspenders. Thus, Wim Wenders' benders are willful and wanton, as he rumbles and bumbles his way into Scranton. By the way, just so you know, all the first and last wishes, it's kind of the seriouser poems, if seriouser is a word. I'm going to be coming out with another one, including One Wonders What Wim Wenders Remembers, in a small volume called Squid's Got Nothing and Other Revelations. It will be a collection of more humorous poems. But let me say from there, a poem called Funny Thing About Humor. Funny thing about humor, it makes us feel less grumpy. I sure hope it works on this tumor and makes it feel less lumpy. Humor is a funny thing, sometimes evoking laughter. We celebrate its subtle sting and think about it after. Funny thing, this humor stuff, it hides inside perception. It's sometimes subtle, sometimes gruff, and practiced at deception. Absurd thing humor funny, fraught with wacky rhymes. It isn't always bright and sunny, a yo-yo out of time. Funny thing about humor, it doesn't always last. I want to rhyme the word with tumor, but then the moment's passed. So we will now circle down to the dark ending, starting with a lust poem, shall we say, called Circling. We circle each other like jungle cats, captured by the scent of wild blood singing a song we cannot name, because we know the song too deeply. Unspeaking, on the prowl, no words, no thought, gravity pulls us closer, circling, hungry for the taste of wild feasting, frightened by the powerful, revealing force of desire and the nakedness it demands. And darker still, love again. Would you love again, knowing what you know now? That love will run away, bored with the sameness and comfort of 1,000 nights, run to hide its beautiful face in the trees and sidewalks and the lost light of stars, because the joy is too strong, or too weak, or made thin with time and the mundane. Love lives on the drug of newness, always seeking, always singing, always wanting the heady rush. It is not until love mellows and grows full of ashes that it gains a new name, which cannot be spoken. And this actually happened to me. This is Walk to the River. The way is over-deeded land. The act is quiet, boots, walking stick, a meadow, a gravel road, a path slanting into the woods, dark, wild, familiar. I have been here before. This is supposed to do something to me, but what? Make the problems go away? Turn back the tide of time? Restore innocence? The path is not long, the woods chaotic and still, until the path falls into the river, 5 hues darker than the sky, the water clear and opaque simultaneously. Fluid patterns, fleeting as thoughts, and I see why I have come. Okay, we're going to end off with 2 of these. This is from an actual thing that happened in my life. It's called Uncle Millard and the Darkness. What color would you lay down first? Uncle Millard, the black sheep of the family, the drunk, the brilliant mind, the wasted life, a streak of cruel masquerading as absurdity. The drink, always the drink, and a degree in commercial art. Never dangerous or cruel to me. He had no friends, and I loved him for his dangerous absurdity, his friendless austerity, because he saw me as a person, not a child, because he loved me, and for his art. It was not so much in his works, they were scant, but in the way he saw things, including, of course, me, and the way he talked of things, as if we were equals, as if I understood. On a rare visit, we stood on his porch and drank in the suburban night, redolent with city noise and pools and points of light. What color would you lay down first? Around us was the dark, warm and embracing. Black, I replied. Black, because it is night. He smiled his Uncle Millard's smile at me and called me muscles for brains, a loving term dripping with absurdity. Yellow, he said. You would lay down yellow. Then we took a secret walk to his secret store to buy more liquor. He never explained why the yellow. I never visited again. He moved on down a darkening path to his appointment with sadness and a failing liver. I got his furniture and a photo, but never an explanation. Decades passed. Occasional flashes of that suburban night pricked with electric incandescence, forgotten brush strokes, an empty bottle, until one day a friend, an artist, invited me to the garden to paint bright flowers. You lay down the background color first, she told me, then apply the other colors over it. My flowers and trees that day were pathetic. I had never painted before, or understood the quiet strength of underneath, or Uncle Millard, drowning in alcohol, crying in the night with brush and form and thought and the unknown song of his heart. He had told me the secret when I was a child, that we lay down the light and cover it with darkness. And I'll end with final exam. Final exam. We have taken the last 1,000,000 years and compressed them down into this little movie. Running time, 1 minute, 26 seconds. Let's take a look. There, that didn't take too long. Leaves one a bit dizzy, eh? Now, did you see yourself? I thought not. Your country? Not even a fleeting glimpse. How about your religion, your job, your politics? That wonderful drive in the mountains that reconciled the two of you to the bone before your next stumble. Yes, that does stand out. Do you remember your next breath? The first moment of every awakening? The moments between moments? I'm afraid you'll have to go back and take the course over. Take better notes this time. It helps. See you at the next final exam. That's it.
Thank you, Charles. Very good. All right, we're going to take about a 10-minute break. We will start up in 10 minutes. So please help yourself to coffee and come back for the second half. If you're not on the list and you want to read, please sign up. You get 5 minutes. All right. Let's thank our featured readers one more time, Jeremy and John.